In this brief presentation, we will have an overview of the main types of quantitative research in social sciences. What is quantitative research and what are its main types? This is a question that we will briefly respond to. So first, as we know that quantitative research basically is a research in social sciences that involves collecting data in numerical forms or in quantities, and also the analysis in this type of research is basically statistical or quantitative analysis or the use of statistical methods. The focus of quantitative research basically is on testing hypotheses and theories in order to examine relationships among variables. So the aim of quantitative research basically is, or why do we conduct quantitative research, is to explain or describe social phenomena and to make predictions related to relationships among variables, or to test causal relationships, or you can say relationship that establishes the causes of various social phenomena. Now there are several types of quantitative research, but the four main types of quantitative research include descriptive research, correlational research, quasi-experimental research, and experimental research. Now we will briefly describe each of these types of quantitative research. So first of all, descriptive research. What is it? The aim of descriptive research basically is to describe current conditions or events or situations, and we describe these using quantitative data. Examples of this type of research or descriptive research include, for example, a survey in which we are interested to determine the average number of hours students study each week. So how many hours do students in a particular area or in a particular country or in a particular educational system study each week? This is a research that we could consider as survey research, which is the type of descriptive research. Similarly, if you are interested in studying or measuring the percentage of teachers who use digital tools in the classrooms, again, this will be a type of descriptive research. Second, correlational research. So as the very name suggests, correlational research is basically research that focuses on an examination or an analysis of the relationship between two or more variables in a study. But in this type of study, we do not manipulate those variables. We simply try to see possible relationships between those variables. And as a result, because we are not manipulating any variables, this type of study is not concerned with causation. For example, if we are investigating the relationship between students' attendance and their academic performance, so in what ways students' attendance is related to their academic performance, this is the kind of correlational research. Similarly, if we study possible relationship between teachers' job satisfaction and the students' achievement, those students who are taught by those teachers. So if we want to see a possible relationship between the teacher's job satisfaction and the students' achievement, this will be a type of correlational research. The third type of quantitative research, experimental research, which is the aim of experimental research is to establish cause and effect relationships. And here, in contrast to what we just said, descriptive research, experimental research focuses on manipulating one or more variables or independent variables in order to observe the impact of that manipulation on other variables or dependent variables. And such experiments or manipulation often takes place in controlled settings, or you can say manipulated settings. Examples, for example, if we are interested in testing whether a new teaching method improves math scores compared to traditional teaching methods. So here there will be controlled environment where we have two sets of, for example, students, one taught through new teaching methods while the other ones taught through traditional methods, and we will see the impact of this manipulation, the new method, on students' achievement or learning. Similarly, if you are interested to find out the impact of mindfulness programs on students' stress levels, so in what ways mindfulness program, which is the independent variable, has an impact on the stress level among students. Again, this is something that we will do in a controlled environment with randomization and random assignment. So that's why we will call this experimental research. And the last type of research in the quantitative types of research in social sciences is quasi-experimental research. Here, this is generally similar to experimental research, but here what is missing is that lack of random assignment to groups. So as we know that there are experimental and control groups in true experimental research, here the assignment of subjects to those groups is basically missing. And so we use these type of methods or the quasi-experimental research methods when true experiments are not feasible. This could be because of ethical issues, or this could be because of practical reasons where manipulation and random assignment is not possible. So we make use of quasi-experimental research designs. We have complete lectures on experimental and quasi-experimental research available on this channel, and you can go and watch those. Examples of quasi-experimental research design include, for example, when we compare the performance of students in two different schools, one using an online curriculum and the other one using the traditional one. So again, we are not creating that situation. The situation is already there. We have two different types of schools with different types of teaching methods or curriculum, and we are just comparing their results or the students' performance. Secondly, similarly, if you are interested in studying the effect of school uniform, for example, on students' discipline in schools that already have uniforms versus the school they do not have. So again, we already have two types of schools. One school is using uniform, the other one is not using uniform for their students. And so we are kind of linking up or seeing the effect of the use of uniform on the performance of or the academic performance of students. So this is an example of quasi-experimental research design. So to summarize, we can say that quantitative research basically has these four main types: the descriptive research, the correlational research, the quasi-experimental research, and the true experimental research. All of these main types of research in quantitative research then has subtypes or subcategories, and we have lectures on all those available on this channel.